This is Caitlin Blackwood. I played young Amelia Pond on Doctor Who, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 282 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast, and this just in, it's Monday. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week with the virtual table and see who joins us this week.
This is Brittany, someone awake in Bethlehem.
This is Chrissy needing a nap in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly, partially awake in Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel, and I took a nap, but I apparently still need to be asleep in Indiana.
Dang.
My brain is still on vacation. I'm home. My brain stayed in Wisconsin. If you see it, Holly, please pop it in the mail.
Yes, I will. And it'll be sent, fast express and handled with good care.
Yes. Just in with more cheese from the Mars Cheese Factory, and we'll be
Yep.
cheese castle, and we'll be fine.
Will do.
Anyway, hi.
Hi everybody. Hope you're doing well and
Yes.
enjoying life. We're really not that drowsy. It just kind of feels that way.
Well,
Yeah. We take a week off, and I go on vacation. You just got to get back into the swing of things. And, we've got news to talk about, and a lot of it's not pleasant, so that doesn't help either. So this will be mostly news heavy episode. So I will tell you a little bit about my adventures on vacation. But we'll save that for the end, so that we end on a high note.
Yes.
Yeah. Not to say all the news is bad. There's just
Bad.
more of it than we normally would like.
Yeah. So let's jump into it, I guess, with the 10 o'clock news. So we've got a couple of passings that we need to discuss. First up is Ian Holm, who recently passed away at the age of 88. And while he had quite the career, I think pretty much everybody knows him as playing the older Bilbo Baggins in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and a little bit of The Hobbit.
This one was a gut punch because I just finished rewatching the extended Lord of the Rings not that long ago, and I'm rereading the book, but I'm just like, really? Really? I mean, yeah, he's 88, so it's and apparently he what was it, Parkinson's he had? And so it was not unexpected, but it's still just ugh. Really?
Yeah. And they just had that lovely reunion with most of the cast on what's his face?
Josh Gad?
Yes, Josh Gad's YouTube show, where he's getting movie cast together and reminiscing and all that, and he just had most of the cast of Lord of the Rings was able to get them together. So but yeah, so but he was obviously being a Brit, he worked in theater, and that eventually moved into him working on television. His first on-screen role was in 1957 in an ITV Play of the Week program, and then he was in Alien, and then which he was quite kind of shot him more to the mainstream. So, and then he was in Chariots of Fire, which got him a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination. So he's been in all sorts of things. But yeah, his portrayal of Bilbo was, I think, what most of us will remember him for.
Like pretty much every like post I've seen, they use like the end scene from Return of the King.
He's like, I think I'm quite ready for another adventure.
Yeah,
which that one's a gut punch anyway. In the context of the, well, you know, however you look at it, within the story, or just, you know, as a analogy or something like that. But it's just, yeah, I'm like, although, like, now because I'm looking at the list, the movies they list him as being in, and I'm like, because I think when Jared showed me The Fifth Element, well, I think we were still dating, and I think now I remember seeing that, and I'm like, oh, I think that's Bilbo. One of these is either Fifth Element or Alien that we watched, and I remember seeing him in. I was like, or, you know, thinking, oh, that guy's familiar, and I look it up, and it's Ian Holm, and I'm like, so he's kind of one of those that, like, you remember him when, you know, he shows up in a random movie that you're watching, and you weren't looking for him, but you see him, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
It's you.
Yeah. So, you know, and you know, given as many how many movies that he was in, it's inevitable you're gonna run into him. But, you know, so
I remember because I don't remember if they actually said it before, but I remember when I went to see the first Hobbit, I'm like, oh, hi! Like, I wasn't expecting him to be in it at the beginning, which made me happy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it is definitely sad, and even though he, you know, not unexpected, but still sad.
And then our other passing we need to talk about just dropped and hit like the social medias in the last couple of hours, I think.
Yeah, it was just today.
It dropped while I was taking my nap, so I'm not sure exactly how long it's been.
Well, I saw it during lunch, so it was like 4 hours ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I was asleep or just not checking the internet, but anyway. So Joel Schumacher, who is, most people know him as a director, which he directed quite a bit actually, has died at the age of 80 due to cancer. But he actually started out as a costume designer back in the 70s, and then went into production design, and as a screenwriter. He worked on the adaptation for the musical The Wiz.
Cool.
Which is, that goes back to those Broadway musicals adapted into movies that weren't adapted correctly.
I mean, it's interesting to see because you have Diana Ross, you've got Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
I want to say like Nipsey Russell. I mean, it's worth the watch. You might look at it like
for the star power. They just didn't treat the storytelling the same way that the Broadway show does. My mom had seen it on Broadway in the 70s.
Oh, cool.
And then when they were like, oh yeah, we're making it into a movie, and she went and saw the movie, and she was so disappointed with the movie. So but for us 90s kids, We probably best know Joel Schumacher as the director for the Val Kilmer and the George Clooney Batman movies. So,
Yep.
complete
for
with
better,
bat nipples.
for better or worse.
Yes.
You cannot deny those movies have provided many hours of entertainment thanks to reviewers via YouTube and such.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so if for nothing else, we've got some interesting jokes to maybe that's not the way they wanted it to be remembered, but that's what ended up happening. So
Yep.
Well, the nipples on Clooney's bat suit were definitely intentional, and that was a decision that Schumacher had made, actually.
Well, the fact that that it's it's not taken as seriously, or it's more of a joke than they had intended. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely memorable.
Yeah. But yeah, so but anytime we have a celebrity passing, it is still sad, and we've his family is, I'm sure, in need of thoughts and comfort at this time. But Godspeed, Mr. Schumacher. You certainly gave us something to talk about.
Yeah, maybe you could always, if those two Batman films are not your speed, you can always go watch The Lost Boys with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yep.
We want to, that's like one of my dad's favorite movies, The Lost Boys. I like it. It's definitely 80s.
Yes.
Yes.
Nothing like an 80s vampire flick. So, yep. So I guess bust out your back credit card and go rent a Joel Schumacher movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to slightly nicer news, not 10 o'clock news. Big Finish. Personally, I mean, you need to borrow your back credit card.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Put that permanently on file in my Big Finish account, because Big Finish has announced that Arthur Darvill is going to have his own series in Big Finish, obviously as Rory, but specifically it is Rory as the Lone Centurion.
Yep, and I'm like, I need this. One of them's going to come out, let's see, next year, I believe, and the other is the year after. But yeah, I was looking at this, and because he has done other things for Big Finish before in some of their original stories, and I guess the story goes that he was approached as like, hey, do you want to do a Rory series? And he was like, oh, I don't know if, he was like, like, how would that mess up the canon, the timeline, whatever? When would you get it right, or things like that? So
Has he not listened to Big Finish before?
I guess not. I don't know. He wasn't sure about doing it, and then this happened, and a script, like they gave him a script, and had the idea, and he's like, oh, well, this is awesome, or this is. Like they get it. Like his quote here, it says, "Oh well, they totally get it. They've really nailed his voice." So it's just sort of like, well, yes. I mean, So I am. Yeah, this is gonna be. I don't know. I'm really excited about this one.
I like the little description. It says, "Legend tells of the lone centurion, a mysterious figure dressed as a Roman soldier, stood guard over the Pandorica, warning off those who would attempt to open it. A constant warrior whose story appeared in folk history of a dozen civilizations. Only he seems to have misplaced it."
River.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to, I think it was about the during the 50th anniversary, and Stephen Moffat was talking about how they had inserted Big Finish companions into the Night of the Doctor, and he was talking about how in some of his writing Doctor Who, he had purposely put some gaps that Big Finish could work with, so
and good on him for doing that.
Yeah, and the Lone Centurion, because I remember watching the Pandorica Opens, the Big Bang, that finale, and I remember thinking, because you do see that little blip in the museum where the little narrator talks about, the legend has it there's a Centurion who's been guarding the Pandorica, and witnesses have seen him pulling it out of the fire or whatever. And I'm like, gosh, that would be cool to see. It's like, I wonder how they could do that. And this was when I was first watching Doctor Who. I really didn't know about Big Finish at the time. And then I found out about Big Finish, and I just kind of, but they didn't have the rights to New Who, so I was like, well, okay, whatever. And now they're doing it, so yay. I'm excited about this. I want to see it. Or, well, hear it, listen to it.
Yeah. Basically, standard operating procedure with Big Finish. Here, take
my money. Yeah, so currently you can pre-order. There's two that are planned. The first one's coming out next May. You can pre-order them individually for like $17, or there's a bundle, and I'm looking up how much the bundle is right now.
Usually bundles the nicer way to go.
Yeah, because then you get it. Oh yeah, so if you get the download, it's $33 for volumes 1 and 2. Now you won't get bad. Yeah, like you'll get them like when one comes out, and then when the second one comes out, which I'm trying. I swear I saw volume 2 comes out in 2022, but my iPad is not being very cooperative in telling me this information. So, here we go. Yes, July 2022. So you've got some time. If the wallet is a little tight right now, as it is with a lot of people right now, totally get it. But it'll normally with Big Finish, you can pre-order these things up to, right before they come out. So
yeah,
and even then they keep the pre-order price for like 2 months after the release. I
think so. Yeah.
So you have time if you want to get this. Yeah. Which I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you.
The only issue I have is like I'm impatient. Like
I know. Yeah. They talk up these things like right now. I'm like, I want it now. Oh, I have to wait a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how Big Finish always gives us these announcements, and it's like this will be available a year from now, and I'm like,
or 2 years from now,
and you're like, but you've sold me on it.
Yeah, it's like I like ignore the fact that I have an entire backlog of Big Finish audios I'm not listening to. Yeah. I want the new thing now.
Exactly. Yes.
Seriously, Big Finish is like books. Like I have so many on my to be listen, but I still want to buy all these.
Yep. Or you've got X number here. You find a couple over there, and then you see these. Get those. Yeah. Right there with you.
Big Finish. We love you.
Yes.
Please sponsor us.
Yes.
Well, and even if you don't, we will take free downloads.
Yes.
We'll still send customers your way, because
yes.
Honestly, Big Finish is saving my bacon and my sanity right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yes.
So my family thanks you as well.
Keeping Mama happy.
Yep.
Yes. That is among one of the things that is keeping me from going stir crazy right now. So
and speaking of books, we have an update to the Dresden Files.
Yes. Oh, I was excited to see this. I mean, I'm certain there was no question that
it was kind of a foregone conclusion in my part, but when I saw the Instagram or Twitter, I was like, yes.
Well, it's always fun to see James Marsters by the way, is the audiobook reader for the Dresden Files, and if you've listened to the audiobooks of Dresden, it's like well, even when I read the books and not the audio, I hear his voice speaking as Harry Dresden.
Yes.
And so it's just kind of cool to see him. He's in the booth. He's talking about it. They put out a little video clip of him saying, "Yeah, the book. I'm recording it. It's awesome. I know what happens and you don't." I'm like, "Joke's on you, James. I got an early release, an early reader's copy." But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so yeah, you can pre-order that as well. But yeah, it was cool to see him. The little video clip they put out of him talking about, "Hey, I'm back to record. It's gonna come out." It's a little promo video, basically. But it's like, there you are.
I'm behind the microphone. So, Peace Talks will be available everywhere. Hardcover, audio, ebook, July 14th.
Whew, not too much longer.
Yeah, Battleground will be out September 29th.
Yes, and again, this is I will not spoil, but this information is kind of obvious because it was supposed to be one book. Jim Butcher wrote, and now it's the same story, 2 books. And having read Peace Talks, there's stuff goes down, but you feel like there's
more.
There's more to come. So
people are literally pounding at the door
for it.
I've been wanting to read the books for a long time, and
they're good, or do the audio.
I think about doing audio because I love James Marsters. I've had a crush on him since Buffy. So I want to hear him.
Oh, he does an awesome job.
Yep. All right, and for those that need some something visual to entertain themselves, if you're a fan of Lucifer,
we have been waiting for this announcement for a long time.
Yeah. Netflix has announced that Lucifer will return with new episodes on August 21st. And this is going to be the first 8 episodes because season 5 was going to be 10 episodes. Now it's going to be 16. So they're releasing the first 8. So this will be 5A, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. So, time to get caught up. Binge.
Yes. Yeah, because there was a little kerfluffle because somebody last night on Twitter for Netflix goofed, put something up, or it was on the main page for it.
Yeah.
Everybody was going bonkers. They took it down and were just like, what?
Yeah.
And then official announcement.
Yeah. Like, you can take it down, but at this point, it's been seen by people. There's been screen grabs.
Exactly.
The internet is forever.
Yes.
So, there. All right. So, let's move on to some convention-related updates. Yep. So Gen Con online registration, badge registration is now open. It's super easy to do. You just, if you've already got like a Gen Con, the website account, you just log in and go to the Gen Con online tab and be like, I want a badge. And it's like, okay, here you go. Here's a free badge. So that's nice. So yeah, even though I'd had a press pass for the actual like physical con when it was going to happen, that didn't apply to the Gen Con online. So you still need to ask for an online badge. because you'll need that information when event registration opens up. So, and then right now, event. If you have an event you want to run, that is open. So, and I guess they're being pretty open on what people can run and what platforms. I'll get to that. I'll explain that in a moment. So that is open, and if you have questions or anything, you can contact them. They can help you do all that. The catalog will be available to look at on July 6th. So you can start your planning, and then you can start registering for those events on July 13th. You register just like you normally would for regular in-person Gen Con, where you'd need to register, get tickets, whether it's a free event or not. They'd always need tickets so they could do a head count. So
makes sense.
Yeah. In this case, all the tickets will be electronic, obviously. Tickets to most events are going to be $2, regardless of how long. Before, depending on what the event was, you could pay more. Usually you paid more if it was a longer, like if you were going to play like Catan or something and it was like an 8-hour session, you'd pay slightly more because they need to pay for the DM's time and all that. So obviously hands-on like crafting type things, like the things like our friends from In Sewing and Half the Battle would do, their events usually would cost a bit more, but that's because it also included the crafting supplies. Obviously you can't send people crafting supplies via the computer screen.
That's a little tricky. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not entirely sure how, if any of those types of event leaders are planning on doing those things. I don't know if they're going to send out like a shopping list to people that register. Like if you actually want to follow along while we're doing this, go buy these things, or if you just want to watch, just watch. And, make notes, and then you can try it later. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, most events are going to be $2 regardless of length. Some might be higher to cover additional costs. Some will be free. So that's good. And then any of the tickets that people have to pay for, they're going to be donating to a charity called I Need Diverse Games.
Cool.
And then the events, obviously when you register, hopefully when the person submits it for the catalog, they try to be as descriptive as possible of what you're going to need to do to be able to play. So you're going to need to keep track of what you register for and what the description says they're going to be using as far as platforms. So like if they're going to be using Roll20, you need to make sure you have an account and you get familiar with the system as opposed to I know there's lots of others out there. We use Roll20 to play D&D, but there are other platforms out there, so you need to make note of that when you register for an event. If it's a platform you're not familiar with, you probably want to familiarize yourself with it before you play. So because there's a bit of learning curve. We're still figuring out Roll20, and we've been playing for almost 2 months.
Yeah, it's there's some tricks to it, and even Jared, like he's been using it for his library stuff. So they do it every week, and he's been building stuff in there. There's stuff he comes up like, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, sometimes it's just finicky.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
as you will hear, is if you listen to the session that just went up earlier today up on our YouTube. We leveled up again, but Roll20 was not cooperating when Jared was trying to do our updated stats. So you need to be prepared for, try to be prepared as much as possible for technical things. So, although obviously DM has more on their shoulders than the players, but still.
And or the digital dice not being in your favor.
Yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, but still.
We learned the hard way. Digital dice, you can't put in dice jail.
Nope.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So there's all that. It's exciting. Like I said, I've already got my free registration, so I'm got that ready to go. I'm excited to see what is going to be available as far as events and all that fun stuff. So should be interesting. And if you're someone who's like, you know, likes to collect, I know some people like to display like their badges and stuff. I do that. The company that does all the official Gen Con merch, they've made a specially designed badge for this year for Gen Con online that you can purchase. It's like $6. And they'll mail it to you, so you still have the nice plastic badge that you can put with all your other badges from previous Gen Cons. So that's Gen Con, and then the Indie Disney Meet. Well, we knew this was coming, more than likely, but they have canceled this year's event. Just because of the, you know, who knows what's going to be, you know, who knows what could be happening. And if you've seen my pictures and video from the Disney Meet, it's a bunch of people essentially crammed into one room. So kind of hard to social distance and all that.
Yep.
And all that. So totally understand their reasoning behind going ahead and canceling this year's event. That being said, they are going to look for ways to do fundraising. Even before they'd even announced the event was canceled, they've already held one online fundraiser where they raffled this huge Star Wars like gift basket full of like action figures and lightsabers and all sorts of stuff. And of course, all that money went to give kids the world village. So if you're looking for updates for future fundraising and stuff, if you follow them on Facebook, if you've not noticed, they've changed their name. The Facebook page was the Indie Disney Meet. They've now changed it to Magical Wishes for Kids, which is the charitable organization behind the event. So if you go if you type in Indie Disney Meet, it'll still come up. Just know that, you know, something will come up and it's going to say Magical Wishes for Kids instead. But that's great that they're still going to be looking for ways to raise money for Give Kids the World, because Give Kids the World unfortunately has had to temporarily close. If you are new and you're like, what the heck is Give Kids World? Give Kids the World is I don't want to say hotel. It's like it's a themed resort in the Central Florida area. So its location, it's close to Walt Disney World, SeaWorld, Universal, all the theme parks that people go to Central Florida for. But what they do is they are a themed resort specifically for Make-A-Wish kids. So sick kids who are suffering from cancer and all sorts of things, and they have their facility is set up so that it's like Disney World. It's like going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's just overly themed with all sorts of cool amenities for the kids and their families. They stay there when if the kid is having a wish granted by Make-A-Wish, whether they want to go to Disney World or they want to go to Universal, go to Harry Potter or whatever, they can stay there. And on top of it just being a resort, so it's got a pool and food and stuff, they also have medical capabilities. So, if kid needs dialysis or something, if they can't actually do it there on site, they can get them to a facility in the area to help them with their medical needs. So it allows the families to relax a bit more while they're on this vacation, knowing that, if their child has something medical come up, that they are surrounded by people that can assist them or get them to someone who can assist them. But right now, even though at this point, most of the theme parks are open or in the process of opening, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is not granting wishes at the moment, which, for obvious reasons, you don't want to send a medically fragile child to someplace where it could be potentially dangerous because of the pandemic. So because Make-A-Wish is not granting those type of wishes right now, Give Kids a World doesn't have any children. So they have essentially had to not close, but I guess temporarily suspend operations. They've had to lay off or furlough most of their staff, so they're a bare bones staff right now. Which is giving them a chance to do maintenance and things, which is always a good thing. But at the same time, their whole thing is, to be there for these children. So they are financially, for right now, they're okay. They are in a situation that, with it being temporary, hopefully, closure, that they will be okay financially, but they're not going to say no to donations. You can you can do a fundraiser on Facebook. They've got that set up so that you can just click a few buttons on your Facebook page and be like, I'm raising money for this organization, and people can donate, or you can donate directly to them. So it's kind of it's kind of a sad thing, but at the same time, it's kind of a, you got to try to find the silver lining, I guess, in the situation. It's like, yeah, it sucks that we can't take in kids because it's just not safe, and all sorts of other factors. But it's like, at the same time, this is giving us an opportunity to look for new ways to continue to pursue their goals. And obviously, we're huge supporters of both Give Kids a World and the Indie Disney Meet, and Magical Wishes for Kids. I've been going, the past several years, we've been making donations to the auction and that sort of thing. So, obviously, Make-A-Wish and those types of organizations are very special to us. So we if there's anything going forward, especially that the Magical Wishes for Kids comes up with as far as a fundraiser and we can be part of, we'll definitely try to participate in any capacity we can. So there is that. So sad, but thankfully folks are finding a way to persevere, I guess. So, all right. Well, that's it really for the news. We do have some feedback that I forgot to copy and paste. Hold on a second.
Whoops.
Whoopsie. It's like I was on vacation or something and totally forgot how to do my job. Yeah, so we got some feedback from Shalane talking about Best Picture winners, because I am now doing the Gold Standard podcast. Our first episode is out, and we are now available on most platforms. It took a little bit because every platform is different on how fast they decide to approve when you apply. So actually Apple was one of the last ones. So I was constantly like checking because I have an iPhone. I'm like constantly refreshing, like, come on. Like I'm hearing from other people like, oh, I listened to it. It's great. I'm like, I haven't listened to it yet because I can't download it. But it's available for download pretty much everywhere now. So Apple, iPhone, Google, whatever they call themselves now. Everyone keeps changing names. So, and then directly on Anchor as well. So there's that. But Shalane had some comments about Best Picture winners. It's like she's seen more of the ones that we'll be talking about on Gold Standard than I have, actually, because she's seen Gone with the Wind and West Side Story, My Fair Lady, Sound of Music, Forrest Gump, Titanic, Shakespeare in Love, Dances with Wolves, Oliver, and Rocky, and I've only seen about half of those.
I think I've seen less than half of those.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So, and then she was talking about animation, because obviously animated movies. There's not been an animated movie this won Best Picture yet. It's only a matter of time, I hope. But yeah, if you look at the history of the animation category, and a lot of times it's Disney that wins. So, like Toy Story 4, or movies like that. But then Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse one last year, not this past Oscars. It just happened the Oscars before that won for Best Animated Feature. So, which kind of broke Disney's stronghold. So,
I mean, it was deserved. That Spider-Man the Spider-Verse was a really good movie.
Yes, it was. So, but in general, Disney does tend to win because they make really awesome movies, especially the Pixar ones, as we were talking before we started about. Pixar makes really good movies.
Make us care about things that we didn't really think we would ever really care about. Like,
yes,
making us cry over things.
Like fish.
And cars.
Yes. And feelings.
Yeah, little feelings.
Yep. So thank you, Shalane, for that feedback. So, you know we love reading, but sometimes it's hard to find time to physically sit down with a book, which is why the Five-ish Fangirls has proudly partnered with Audible. Audible is a leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs. Whatever makes you squee, there's a perfect listen for you. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals. Whether you're adventuring through time and space, running from dinosaurs, or capturing ghosts, with the free app, audiobooks go where you go. You can download titles and listen offline, anytime, anywhere. Even if you switch devices, you'll never lose your place. And right now, Five-ish Fangirls listeners can sign up for a free 30-day trial by going to audibletrial.com/5ishfangirls. That's 30 days to check out not only their huge collection of audiobooks, but also podcasts, guided wellness programs, theatrical performances, A-list comedy, and exclusive Audible originals you won't find anywhere else. So continue the joy of reading with Audible. Don't see a title that trips your trigger one month? No problem. Your credit will roll over to the next month, and you can quit anytime and keep the books you've acquired forever. For more details and to sign up for your free 30-day trial, visit audibletrial.com/5ishfangirls. That's audibletrial.com/5ishfangirls. And now, back to the podcast. I will, was really it for the news. We just need to get caught up on like the convention stuff, mostly more than anything, and of course the 10 o'clock news. But I did say that we would finish the episode on a slightly happier note. So as you probably are aware, we did not have a show last week because I went on vacation. Which I will, thankfully for the most part, I've not heard anyone question my choice to go on vacation during the middle of a pandemic. But if there is anyone out there who's like, why the heck did you go on vacation in the middle of a pandemic? I needed to. It was a mental health thing more than anything.
That is the problem with a lot of this, is like, you can't live like this.
Yeah.
I mean, for a while, yes. I mean, I don't want to get into all of it.
I went and visited my mom yesterday. I dropped off some cheese because I came home with a lot of cheese, and I asked her if she wanted any. So some of the cheese I bought was what she requested. So I went to take her cheese yesterday, and her dogs were so excited to see me. I think more than she was.
They missed you, Rachel.
Yeah, but I realized that it's the first time I've set foot in her house in over 3 months.
Wow.
And she lives really close to me. I've seen her a few times at a distance, like from the car, but that's the first time I'd been to her house in more than 3 months. So Chauncey and I, we've been at home, we've been working, doing our thing, trying not to get out in mixing with people, trying to do our social distancing. When we do go out, we wear masks, whether, the establishment we go to requires them or not. Some businesses, they require them for everyone. Some, they're just like, we recommend them, but we're not going to require them. Every business. But yeah, since mid-March, Chauncey and I have essentially been at home with each other to look at and talk to, and we've tried to do our best to keep our sanity. We go out in the car and go out into like the country for drives, so we're still getting out and getting fresh air, but we're still staying away from people, and that's good for an afternoon. But just the monotony of waking up, going and sitting in my chair in front of the laptop and essentially sitting here in the same spot every day for 3 months was just...
It gets to you.
It does get to you.
I totally get it.
Yeah. So I was literally getting to a mental breaking point. And I just looked at Chauncey and said, we need to go somewhere for more than just an afternoon, and he's like, I totally agree. So it's like, okay, well, the world is starting to open up a little. Where are places that we'd want to go and what's open? So me being the type A, I'm not type A in really anything except when it comes to vacation planning. So I put my type A vacation planner hat on and start Googling and looking at maps and all that sort of thing. And I look at Chauncey and I'm like, well, how about House on the Rock, which is in Wisconsin, essentially central westish Wisconsin. And he was like, sounds good. We'll figure out dates and you figure out a route and we'll do it. So that's exactly what we did. So we planned a route so that we could make just a big old circle starting from central Indiana, going west into Illinois, and then north, and then up towards where House on the Rock is, which is in Spring Green, Wisconsin, which is really out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
It's beautiful country, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. There are some hotels and resorts. In fact, House on the Rock has its own resort, but we didn't necessarily want to stay out in the middle of nowhere, so we actually stayed in Middleton, which is right outside of Madison. So it's essentially a suburb of Madison. We just stayed at a Staybridge right in kind of the heart of Middleton, right near the highway. So it was really easy access to get on the highway to get to where we needed to go. And it was real close to restaurants and stuff. So that was nice. But we took that route up through Illinois so that we could go to we first went to the Anderson Japanese Garden, which is in Rockford, Illinois. It's right near the Illinois-Wisconsin state line, which is beautiful. It was after, at that point, we'd been in the car for like 4.5 hours. So
you were ready to get out and stretch.
Yeah,
your
we were
legs.
ready to get out and stretch, and we were able to time it really well. That's the biggest thing with going on vacation during what's happening right now. Is we've done road trips before, and I'll make I'll plan out a rough driving routes. I'll see what's on that route as far as like things to see and do and fun restaurants, because we try to avoid chains and the Golden Arches. We try to avoid places like that and try to eat at local
do things that you can't do at home.
Right,
basically.
exactly.
Right.
But before I just need to look at like the address, hours of operation. Now it's like I need to look at hours of operation and do they require reservations, or is this restaurant, are they open or are they only open for takeout?
Exactly.
That sort of thing. So it's like there's an extra step or two of planning that I normally would not have to factor in when coming up with my itinerary. So things like the Anderson Japanese Garden, at least when we went, and that's probably still the case and probably will still be the case for a while, is they're doing timed entry. So you had to reserve your tickets in advance and tell them what time window you wanted for your entry.
And make sure you get there on time.
Yes, exactly. So I had to figure out how long it would take us to get there, factoring in things like stopping to go to the bathroom or for gas or for food, the time difference because you gain an hour.
This almost sounds like the Olympics of trip planning.
A little bit.
Which, given your background, Rachel, this is kind of up your alley.
Well, yes.
Almost.
Yeah. In a way, but thankfully it actually worked out perfectly. We pulled into the parking lot like right as our window was opening. So
Woofda. Nice.
So I mean, once the window opened, we had an hour before our tickets weren't valid anymore. So if we'd been a little late, it would have been okay. But still. But those are the things that normally you would not have to factor in. You're just like, oh, they're open from this time to this time. When we show up, we'll go in and we'll go walk around and look at the nice plants and throw food to the huge koi in their koi pond, and call it a day. But it's like, no, you actually have to figure out, okay, what's the route I'm going to take? I need to fill in some buffer time here because you never know if there's going to be like an accident on the highway and cause traffic to stop or construction or that sort of thing. So it's like, there's a little bit more to keep in mind of, but it worked out well, and it was a nice stop. It was great for for a few hours to get out, stretch our legs, see the beautiful plants and the water features and stuff that they had built. So that was nice. And then we get to our hotel and we check in. We grab dinner and stop at one of many places where you can purchase adult beverages. So Chauncey specifically wanted to stop at Ale Asylum, so we went there. We got pizza from this cool place that actually ended up being like right down the street from our hotel. I did not realize just how close it was. Called the Roman Candle. They do New York style pizza. Oh my God, and I'm not a pizza person. This is some of the best pizza I've ever had in my entire life. So good. And for me to say that, that's something. And then we went to House on the Rock the next day, which if you don't know what House on the Rock is, Because my mom was asking. She's like, why did you go to Wisconsin of all places to go on vacation? I'm like, well, House on the Rock was the biggest thing.
Mhm.
And she's like, what is it? She's like, I thought it was just like a Frank Lloyd Wright type thing. I'm like, no, this is like if,
it's more to it than that.
no, it's like if Frank Lloyd Wright and Walt Disney and
Mhm.
the Winchester lady, if you
Yep.
know anything about the Winchester house,
Mhm.
if they all got together and had a child
Uh-huh.
and just gave him carte blanche to build whatever house and estate that he wanted, probably with some illicit substance as an influence, that's a start to describe House on the Rock.
Yes. Shake up the carpetbagger. Give him.
Yes.
Watch
Jacob's the whole
YouTube.
reason I knew about this place in the first place. And then when we had Jacob on, and Holly was like, yeah, I've been there too. And I'm like, okay, well, let's put this on the list of places we have to visit eventually. So, yeah, it's just, I can't describe it. Just like
You
pictures
could
and video.
spend more than one day at that place. There's so much to see.
Yeah, we got there at noon. They closed at 5, so we had 5 hours. At one point, we reached a spot where you could go outside and actually see part of the house and the infinity room from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 4:15, so there was like 45 minutes left before they closed. And we went out, took a few pictures. We're like, hey, that's cool. And we came back in, and the lady working there was like, okay, to keep going, go that way and turn this way and then turn that way. Oh, and by the way, we close in 45 minutes and there's still 8 rooms to go.
Mm-hmm.
We
It's like
were
the House on the Rock is part
running.
TARDIS.
Yes, we were almost running there at the end because is so much to look at. It is so large, and just, I mean, you it's not like a museum where you just look at like what's in front of you. Like, no, you need to go floor to ceiling and ceiling to floor.
And it's interactive too.
Yes, and it's interactive too. A lot of it's interactive. So when somebody says this is a whole day attraction, they literally mean it. You need to get there at opening and be prepared to be there till it closes, more than likely. Mm-hmm. So, thankfully, it was not super busy. They have put down like tape and stuff to try to control the traffic. So they're like, we prefer people go this way and this way and this way, as opposed to people probably just having carte blanche and being able to go whichever direction they want, which probably helps with the speed of going through it. There are some sections that are blocked off. So there are some things that we did not get to see, which all the more reason to go back. The stuff that we had to rush through at the end, and then the stuff that was closed off. We need to go back.
There you go. You have an excuse to visit again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and right in that same area thereabouts is one of Frank Lloyd Wright's personal homes, but was also the location of his like architecture school, where he taught people how to build, homes like him. So Chauncey wants to go back and tour that at some point too. So yeah, we definitely have a reason to go back. And then we grabbed dinner, and I don't remember the name of the place that we stopped at for dinner after going to House on the Rock, because Chauncey picked it. So, and again, it was one of those where it's like, are they open, or are they open just for takeout? And they were open for carry out, and then their patio was open. They were also doing a very limited menu. They were not doing their full menu, but we were still able to find stuff to eat. In fact, I had the best sweet potato fries I have ever had in my entire life. They were so good. And we saw Corgi. That was the night we saw Corgi. We were done eating and we were walking back to the car, and at this point it was this little town and most everything was closed except for the few restaurants that they had. But we were walking back to the car, and there were these 2 people that were sitting at a table and chairs outside of a business, just kind of chilling, soaking in the evening, the last dredges of the evening sun. because the weather was gorgeous. The weather was gorgeous the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't think anything of it. And I saw they had a leash, and then I saw what was attached to the leash. I'm like jabbing Chauncey. I'm like, look at the corgi. But we tried not to be creepers, and we didn't like go up to them and get in their personal bubble because social distancing. Plus, I didn't want them to think I was trying to kidnap their dog.
You're like, no, I just want to take a picture.
Yeah, yeah. But I was like, I love your dog. They're like, thank you.
Meanwhile, the corgi's like, yes, I know I'm cute.
Exactly. The corgi looked at us and
It's like,
tilted her head like, yes, I am adorable.
It's like, this is what I'm doing in this time of trouble, bringing joy and happiness to random strangers.
Yep. So that was Saturday, and then Sunday we had to check out of the hotel. We got early lunch, late brunch, I guess you could call it, because it was like a little after 11 o'clock. And we stopped at Vintage Brewing Company, which they are a brewing company, but they have a restaurant too. So we were able to get some beverages along with our food, and I had a really, really good buffalo chicken wrap. There's a problem with going to these types of places is they're the only ones in existence. If you have food that you really like, you can't get it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. And Wisconsin's pretty good about putting out pretty darn good food.
Yeah, we had cheese curds finally. We'd been in Wisconsin for like 3 days, and we finally had fried cheese curds. So and then we started making our way north, and we stopped at Dr. Evermore's Art Park.
Yes, that
is it's definitely a hidden gem. It literally is hidden. Like you drive by and you see like a sign for it, but there's a gate. You can't pull in there. What you have to do is you have to drive past it, and there is a kind of flea market type business there. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's a place that like they buy up like old stock from like hardware stores that have closed, and then they resell it, that sort of thing. So you have to park there, walk past the building, past the piles of stuff they're selling, into almost, it looks like you're going into the woods until you see these giant metal sculptures in this grassy area. The guy that created all of these, he actually passed recently.
Yeah, American Pickers had done an episode at Dr. Nevermore's a few years ago, and we saw it. It's like we haven't gone there ourselves, but I'm planning. What did you think when you saw it?
Oh, it was amazing. It's absolutely, and it's amazing that there's this crazy collection of metal sculptures. The crown jewel of it is the Forevertron, which has the largest footprint. I mean, this thing is huge. It's considered the largest scrap metal sculpture in the world. It is 50 feet tall and 120 feet wide, and it weighs 300 tons.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was built in the 80s, that specific sculpture. And the sculpture includes 2 Thomas Edison dynamos from the 1880s, lightning rods, which totally understandable because I was just asking for needs lightning rods, high voltage components from 1920s power plants, scrap from the nearby Badger Army ammunition plant, and the decontamination chamber from the Apollo 11 spacecraft.
Wow. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which we were able to identify a lot of the pieces, but we could not figure out which part was the decontamination chamber. So, because I have no idea what that's supposed to look like. But yeah, Tom Every who was a Wisconsin native. He was a demolition expert, and he collected antique machinery and turned them into sculptures. And he created this whole backstory to go with it. So according to him, this the Forevertron was created by this Victorian inventor called Dr. Evermore. And he designed the Forevertron to launch himself into the heavens on a magnetic lightning force beam. So, but there's the Forevertron, but then there is a whole bunch of other sculptures and just antiques. So, there's a dragon, there's a UFO, there's a giant, it looks like an orchestra, but it's all birds. These weird bird-looking creatures all spread out. They all have different instruments, and then there's a bird conductor, complete with conductor staying a baton in his hand. So yeah, it's really, really wild. So if you're driving along and you see Delaney's surplus, stop and you have to go when Delaney's is open, because I'm assuming they close the gate at some point. So one, they can protect their stock, and two, don't want random people wandering back there. But yeah, just walk past all the piles of surplus pipe and plumbing products and hardware products, and once you turn the corner, you'll know you're in the right spot, just because you're just greeted with just hello, giant metal sculptures, and it's really cool. So
I just Googled and wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jacob has been there too, so I think he's got video for that as well on his channel. And then we stopped at, this was a short stop, but we stopped at the Man Mound in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
Baraboo, yep.
Yep. It's unfortunately, because of where it's located, it's right in the middle of, it's like there's a forest, but then there's like someone's house right next to it and their farm. Because then their like cows and stuff are right across the street. So they can't necessarily build up something, I guess, to make it easier for people to actually see it. But what it is, there's a one of those sign things with the like history, and it's got like above, pictures taken from above so you can see it better. Mm-hmm. But they're not entirely sure exactly what it is. I think it's some sort of ancient burial type thing, but it's the earth. They've taken the earth and shaped it into a giant man, essentially. So they think it was it's an effigy mound is what they think it is. But he's got like this headdress on that looks like two horns. It's 214 feet long and raises up 2.5 feet from the ground. So,
wow.
Yeah. Or at least that's was when it was original. Unfortunately, the road actually goes right across his legs. So they've actually painted on the road green. So you can see the continuation of the legs, and then his feet are on the other side of the road, and then they've had to build like the cow pasture around it so that the cows don't end up like going and eating his feet.
Yeah.
So, but they think it was built between 750 and 1200 AD.
Wow.
Yeah. So
if you ever swing back through Baraboo, they have the Circus Museum.
Yes.
There too, and that's amazing to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Circus Museum is still closed.
Oh, darn. But if it opens back up, it is worth the visit.
Yeah. I said something to Chauncey about it. Yeah, if they'd been open, we'd be stopping at the Circus Museum. And he's like, he wasn't too thrilled about that because he doesn't like clowns.
There's not too many things with the clowns, but they have the real nice carriages that they would have when they would have the parade go through with the animals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So that was that, and then we made a stop in the Dells, Wisconsin Dells,
Yep.
which unless you're going to the Dells for something specific,
Like the water park.
Yeah, like the water park, or you really want to do like the Ripley's or one of the other attractions,
or going to the Crystal Grand to see a concert.
Yeah. Unless you're going for something specific, don't go to the Dells. It is the only way I can describe it is Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge of Wisconsin, essentially, or the Las Vegas Strip, although not quite as shiny as the Las Vegas Strip. So it is just tourist Mecca. That's where the tourists go.
Yes.
Because it has all the touristy things. It's got your miniature golf courses. It's got your Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, which I would have loved to stop at, but we didn't have time. It's got all your kitschy shops with like the airbrush T-shirts and your overpriced tchotchkes, and hey, buy a bucket of sand and dig for treasure.
Yep,
that sort of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it is very, very touristy, but I had never been, and I wanted to stop at a cheese shop. So and Chauncey wanted to go. He was very excited to stop at the Pepper Palace to get some hot sauce. So that's really our two stop. Well, we did stop and get ice cream too, because we'd had Wisconsin cheese at this point, but we want to try some Wisconsin ice cream. So
good on ya.
Yeah, so we made sure to get some Wisconsin made ice cream, see how they do the rest of their dairy. But it was a lot of people, and so many people not wearing masks.
Yeah.
So many people not wearing masks. So we had ours on, but yeah, it was just you're just asking for trouble, especially during a time right now going someplace that touristy. Thankfully, House on the Rock, even though it wasn't a lot of people, but most of the people there were wearing masks, which was good. So the Dells, not so much.
Yeah.
So we got our cheese, we got our hot sauce, we got our ice cream. We poked our nose in at a few more shops just to see what the heck was going on, and then we hopped back in the car and made our way up to the furthest north. We went for at least for this particular trip, and got to meet Holly.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Yep. In the town I went to college in.
Yes, Stevens Point.
Stevens Point. Yep.
So Holly found a restaurant for us.
Yes.
And we met for dinner. We had more cheese curds. And
yes. They partook of brats.
Yes. And we had a nice chat. And
yes.
Chauncey showed off the VR headset. So playing VR in not in a parking lot this time. We went to like this off to the side of the parking lot where we got eaten by mosquitoes, but
little wooden area.
Yeah, so not quite playing VR in the parking lot like what we did with Brittany, but close enough.
Yep.
It was still daylight, like it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, now you need to drive out here so we can do VR in, I don't know, the park or something.
Yeah. In the parking lot of the library. Yeah. So that was fun. I guess if the restaurant had been doing trivia night, we would have hung out longer like we did with Brittany, but they weren't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or the
Plus,
place
we're supposed
might
to
have done trivia was closed. Yeah.
Yeah. We are supposed to be social distancing, so as nice it was to hang out, we didn't overstay our sharing of potential germs. So
you were smart about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun to finally meet Holly and
Yeah, it was
talk
fun
and
to meet you and
chat.
Chauncey.
And now Holly is no longer left out. Everybody
No!
has at least met one other person.
Yes.
Mhm.
We can check that off of the bingo card.
Yes.
We just got a few more in-person meetings to have, but we'll make it
Yes.
happen
Yeah.
someday. Some
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Yep.
We can get the person to person. It's just getting all of us in the same place at the same
Place-
time.
Yes.
Right now would not be recommended anyway.
Yeah,
So,
no.
Yeah.
So
No.
we're putting that one on the back burner until
yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, she's Rachel. Well, you guys sent the pictures through our Facebook chat and seeing you guys together. I'm like, yay! They made it.
And we
Yeah.
both dressed for the
For
occasion.
the occasion,
Yes,
yes.
you guys.
Like,
Was
I
that
was
on
wondering-
purpose, or did you?
Well, we didn't talk about it, but we
No.
were just on the same wavelength.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just like,
Okay.
I wanted to wear Five-ish Fangirls if we're meeting.
Yeah.
Because before the planning, I get this kind of cryptic message from Rachel's like, how far away is House on the Rock from you? And I was like, responded back. And then she was like, okay, I'm open.
And it turned
Like,
into
we'll
this
make the
whole
drive.
thing.
We'll make it work.
Yeah. Well, we were going to go to Green Bay at one point to visit a friend of Chauncey's, but he ended up not being home the weekend that we were traveling. So instead, we just made it a big old loop. So it's like, head west a little, up, all the way to Stevens Point, and then we could just go back down south, down through Milwaukee, down to Chicago, around the lake a little, and then just down to Indy. So,
Yeah.
and then the drive home was, we stopped at a few more places. We stopped at another cheese place, Union Star Cheese, which is in Fremont, Wisconsin. It's just I think it's a family-owned cheese farm, seemingly out in the middle of nowhere. We picked up some non-fried cheese curds, but still
Nice
cheese
and
curds.
squeaky.
Yes, they're very squeaky.
And now, did you have a beverage? Because I did warn you that
Yes.
they can be a little salty.
Yeah. Yes, maybe definitely more salty. So, and then in Milwaukee, we stopped at American Science and Surplus, which is interesting. It's a shop. Again, Jacob the Carpetbagger's been there. That's how I learned about it. I think Jacob tends to go more for the rubber chicken, fake bugs in fake chunks of ice type things. It's kind of like Spencer's. If you remember Spencer's,
Yes.
meets your local hardware store. Because the front half of the store is like Spencer's type stuff, kind of. Although they have some actual practical things too, like some school supplies and types of things for teachers. But then the back half of the store is like duct tape and pieces of pipe, and actually Chauncey found a good number of things that he could use for his various mad science experiments. So he was quite excited. I was like, hey, look, rubber chicken. They make glow-in-the-dark rubber chickens. Did you know that? I know that now.
No.
Yes.
Did not
They
know
make
that.
glow-in-the-dark rubber
Glow-in-the-dark
chickens. Yes.
All right then.
So they have your standard rubber chicken, and now they have glow-in-the-dark. So put that on
I
your
sense
Christmas
some
list.
Halloween plotting.
Yeah,
in here.
really. I told Chauncey after we got home, I was like, man, we should have picked up one of those glow-in-the-dark rubber chickens just to confuse people at Halloween.
Zombie chickens.
Because we
That
put
glow
also
in the
we
dark.
put he's got old mannequin heads, and he's got fake machetes and stuff that we'll put out in the lawn and right where the trick-or-treaters walk by. And it's like, how confused would they be? It's like, oh, machete, dissevered head, glow-in-the-dark rubber chicken.
Yeah.
And
Some kind of a science experiment gone awry.
yeah, really. It's like, we could take, there's a lot of, I'm going to go on Amazon and use our Amazon affiliate link. I'm sure I can find
The glow in the dark chicken.
and then I lost.
Amazon has everything.
Yes, they do.
As someone who works there, yes.
Yeah.
I've
He's
seen
like,
some
I will
weird
help you
things.
find your glow-in-the-dark rubber chicken.
Some of
I am
the random stuff you've shared with us, Brittany, just telling us what people order. I'm like, okay. Not specifics, mind you, just kind of like, oh my gosh, I had to package this thing that was like, I don't want to get you in trouble, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you like talk about
Just
like,
Amazon, they literally leak everything from A to Z. So
Yep.
you want it, they got it.
Yep.
Logo thingy job.
Yep.
And if you're near Brittany, she might package it for you. Depending on your fulfillment center. And then our last stop was the Mars Cheese Castle. Because you can't drive past some place that calls themselves a cheese castle and not stop.
Exactly.
This isn't your run of the mill world's largest ball of twine
No.
sort of thing.
It's a grocery store.
Oh, I was like, that.
But it's not a full grocery store. So it's not like they have like all the things a grocery store would have, like meat and seafood and some other things. It's cheese in every variety you can think of, in shape and form, pretty much. An entire section dedicated to Jelly Bellies, because at that point you're close to the Jelly Belly factory in that neck of the woods, which we would have stopped at too, but they were not open. And they have a bakery, so you can buy like cookies, and they have some pastries. I picked up some fudge, which I'm still working on eating. It's really good. And then drinks, mostly alcohol. So they have an entire section for wine and an entire section for your hard liquors, and then they have an entire section for beer. And a lot of it is Wisconsin beer, brewed beer from Wisconsin-based breweries. So it's not everything you need if you're going to the grocery, but if you're having like a wine and cheese party, that's the place to stop.
Yep.
It's kind of like the wine and cheese that does make sense. And you had like the bakery and then Jelly Belly, I think.
When in Rome, I guess.
Yeah. Go there, I would like spend. I love Jelly Belly. I love jelly beans, like any kind. Like that's literally the best part of Easter now that I'm grown up. All the jelly beans on sale.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we drove home. I got home late, and I felt like I could sleep for a week. But it was fun. It was kind of a whirlwind, but it was so nice to get away, just for my own mental health. And I know Chauncey felt the same way too. And like I said, it was a little harder to do the itinerary just because you have to factor in things like, whether places fully open for full operation or only partially open. Like there were a lot of like breweries and stuff we would like to stop at, but I'd go to their website and I'm like, we're open for carry out only. So I'm like, well,
or curbside
pickup. I'm like, well, that's fine if I knew what I wanted to order from you guys, but half the fun is going to the brewery and trying things.
Yeah.
Doing the taste test and
doing the taste
like
testing. So
well, that's what we've noticed because we've been going to like some local restaurants that we're like, well, we want to support them, make sure that they get through the pandemic okay. And then they do the takeout or the drive-through stuff. And there's some places that I'm just like, I'm glad we can go there. I'm glad we can eat. It's a lot better when you're right there in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Eating it rather than bringing it home or whatever. But we do what we can.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad you guys got to go have a little road trip and have some fun
and meet Holly.
Holly.
Yeah.
Yay.
So eventually we'll work our way out to Salt Lake City. Chauncey's been out there before for work, but
yeah. Well, like, talking about all the places that you guys like to go eat and things, I'm like making a mental list. I'm like, okay, we could go there. We could go there.
Yeah.
So I'm compiling restaurants. Now, the tourist stuff, no, we can figure that out. There's stuff to see. I just don't
We're
think
usually
about
good
it
about
because-
figuring out the touristy stuff, but
Yeah.
it's the restaurants. You just never know.
Mhm.
So, although usually I don't plan out every place to eat. I leave at least one meal up to Chauncey, like while we're
Right.
on the road, and be like,
Well-
find something on Yelp, and he's done pretty good about finding like hole in the wall type places. that
Mhm.
Well,
And sometimes those are the best places.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I have suggestions, but when we get to that point.
Yes.
But nah, it sounds like you had an awesome time, and that was cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and so if anybody's curious about what it's like to go on vacation during a pandemic, there you go.
Send Rachel a note.
It can be done.
Yep.
It can be done.
And so if anyone's curious about that, send Rachel a line. You can send an email as well as your feedback if you have any, based on any of our news stuff that we talked about right today. You can send to our email address is 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. There you can get go to our Redbubble store and get those lovely T-shirts that Rachel and Holly were wearing when they met.
Yeah, like
as well as
Chauncey was trying to take our picture, and he was like doing all weird angles. And I'm like, just make sure you get us and the shirts. And this guy had walked out. He's like, "Are you wearing matching T-shirts or something?" I'm like,
yes, we are.
Well,
Here, listen to our
and
podcast.
And a little side note: the restaurant we ate at, the entryway was an old aged barrel that they would have made liquor in, so it was kind of unique. Yeah.
So he was trying to get it in the picture because it was kind of cool looking, but at the same time we're like, get us in the pictures and the shirts. That's the important part.
Yep. So yeah, go to our website. You can get you can buy stuff from our merch shop that helps support the podcast. You can also find all our social media links there, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and leave comments there. You can download the podcast from Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, we're there. And we also have Patreon. We have an Amazon affiliate link. We also have an Audible affiliate link that referral bonus also helps us. So anything, any way, even if you buy a T-shirt or a tote bag from Redbubble that has our logo on it, that helps support us. So, and thank you all for listening. And I know I kind of did that in a roundabout way, trying to segue and not really succeeding, but I tried. That's what's important.
Segues are not our forte.
No.
Tangents, yes. Segues, no.
Yeah.
Put that on a T-shirt.
We'll save that one. But yeah, we're always happy to hear from our listeners, whether it's on Facebook or through feedback or whatever it is. It's the way you contact us. So thank you all for your support and listening, and hope you all are staying safe out there and keeping sane and everything else that we have to be mindful of right now. That's oof. And hopefully we brought you a much needed break. I know these I know recording a podcast helps me.
Same.
Y'all are help keeping me sane.
Yes.
But it's interesting. I never thought I'd be helping someone stay sane because I'm not sane.
We all just kind of revel in our insanity, and it's sort of like what is there? There's a quote, and now I'm totally blanking on what it is, but it's like, friendship is when you meet another weirdo and you say, "What, you too?"
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
I have that quote somewhere.
Yep.
Let's all be weirdos together.
Yep.
We revel in our shared weirdness.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, like I said, stay safe out there, stay sane, and keep on keeping on. That's pretty much all anyone can do right now.
Yep. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Would you like some cheese? I've got plenty to share.
Cheese is awesome.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.